We are knee-deep in the impeachment investigation into President Donald Trump and his pressure campaign against the Ukrainians. But there's so much that happens on a daily, much less weekly basis, it's hard to keep track of what matters and what, well, doesn't. That's where I come in. We start here with 5 impeachment stories from the week that was in just 30 seconds. Story number 1, roughly 24 House Republicans led by Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz stormed a secure hearing room to interrupt witness testimony. U.S. diplomat Bill Taylor directly tied Donald Trump to the Ukrainian quid pro quo. A new CNN poll found 50% support for impeaching Trump and removing him from office. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell denied that he told Trump his call with the Ukrainian president was perfect, and President Trump called the impeachment inquiry a lynching. So look, there are a lot of spokes in this impeachment story, but there's only one hub, and that hub is not Donald Trump right now, but Rudy Giuliani. At every turn in the pressure campaign against Ukraine, Rudy is there, traveling to Ukraine, meeting with Ukrainian Americans, establishing a diplomatic back channel with the country's leadership, which is weird. To help me better understand this complicated and at times cartoonish man, I've enlisted the help of my friend Chris Cuomo. Chris hosts CNN's Chris Cuomo Primetime, and he's a licensed lawyer. He's known Rudy for years, and it is on his show in September that Giuliani first denied that he asked Ukraine to look into Joe Biden. Then, literally seconds later on the same show, Giuliani took it back, saying that, of course, he had asked the Ukrainians to investigate Biden. Watch.
Did you ask the Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden?
No, actually I didn't. I asked the Ukraine to investigate the allegations that there was interference in the election of 2016 by the Ukrainians for the benefit of Hillary Clinton, for which there already is a court finding.
You never asked anything about Hunter Biden. You never asked anything about Joe Biden.
The only thing I asked about Joe Biden is to get to the bottom of how it was that Lutsenko, who was appointed, dismissed the case against Antak.
So you did ask Ukraine to look into Joe Biden?
Of course I did.
You just said you didn't.
Here we are, 2 Chris's. Chris Cuomo, thank you. All right, let's start here. Rudy Giuliani has been a thing in New York City for
long time.
3+ decades. Is there a through line between 1980s, early 1990s Rudy Giuliani, Mayor of New York Rudy Giuliani, Donald Trump, personal lawyer, advocate Rudy Giuliani?
No, it's like new Coke, old Coke. Rudy Giuliani was regarded as America's mayor because of his strength and the equanimity that he showed after 9/11. Now, before that, he was in trouble. He was a controversial mayor. A lot of people liked him because he was tough and he got rid of like all of these like petty things. Then he becomes America's mayor. And then he runs for president. And now this turn, which I don't really understand, and I often think that Rudy Giuliani, as you said, of the 80s, would not like what the Rudy Giuliani of right now is doing.
Rudy Giuliani's a fine man. He was the greatest mayor in the history of New York, and he's been one of the greatest crime fighters and corruption fighters.
Does Trump have a weird mojo, for lack of a better word, over people? What explains
He's
Giuliani?
He's the president of the United States. If you can get close to a guy who will take care of you, right, wrong, good, bad, I mean, that's what this story that we're covering now is all about.
Let's talk about interviewing him. You've interviewed him a bunch of times,
Many
both
times.
as Trump's surrogate and not.
True.
How do you approach an interview like that where the guy literally changes his story? I mean, the shock on your face is clear. Like, didn't you? I'm pretty sure I just heard you say the opposite. But how do you interview someone like that?
Interviewing, as you know, obviously, Chris, a very talented interviewer. Not judged by this, but in general. Just trust me about it.
Talented interviewer. I'm going to get that on my book.
You have 3 inclinations in one sense you have to rely on. The inclinations are, your head, your heart, and your gumption. How do you ration those 3 things? How much is intellectual, cognitive in its pursuit? How much of it is emotional about where you are tonally? It's about leverage and correctness. But the biggest sense you rely on is listening. You don't get Rudy to go back and forth on something. You don't ginsu the president if you're not listening and then engaging that 3-phase system. The criticism becomes the dissembling is distracting. People don't get the truth. I reject that as a premise. However, if I didn't have the interview with Rudy Giuliani, people, why do you have him on?
we wouldn't have got that.
We would not be where we are right now.
Correct.
In this process, because he pissed off so many Democrats with the doublespeak and the animus of in your face, yeah, I'm looking for it, and I'm going to keep looking for it.
How much legal trouble, from your lawyerly perspective, is Giuliani potentially in? Because everything about Ukraine, there's a Giuliani angle to it.
Well, that's because the president used him as the muscle on it. The president empowered him. Look, here's what worries me about Mr. Giuliani's situation. I do not like how close he was to indicted people.
That's right.
And they
Igor
said,
Fruman, Lev Parnas, right?
Yeah, I mean, Igor. I mean, one of the first rules of politics is
never befriend an Igor.
I mean, it's like,
Yeah, no, you're
where
right.
in the movies has that turned out good?
That's right. I'm only friends with people who share my names to keep it safe.
I mean, it just keeps it easy.
Yeah, totally.
So his association with men who in court the other day, through their attorney, argued we may have some privilege where information is involved because we worked for the president, we worked with Giuliani for the president, and we worked with Giuliani on other things. They have allegations of funny money. Very often, crimes of intention, fraud, etc., come down to following the money. And I think that's a problem for Mr. Giuliani.
Because there's money to be followed. Does executive privilege matter in any of this?
Yes. Executive privilege can only be initiated by the White House, by the executive. You can't claim Cuomo privilege.
Right.
I have to claim it.
I've tried that. Didn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It really gets you nowhere.
Last question, important. Can you still dunk a basketball in a regulation 10-foot hoop?
No. I cannot dunk donuts and coffee right now. I used to be able to dunk the hell out of a ball. I had rise.
The last time I dunked a basketball was in
You never, ever
your words
dunked
hurt.
a basketball. Be honest.
1994, senior year of high school.
Volleyball.
Nope. Hey, Chris Cuomo, watch his show, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It's called Cuomo Prime Time. It's called Cuomo Prime Time. Watch it. Thank you, my friend. Oh, man, I'm keeping that. And that is the point. Check back every weekend for everything you need to know about this complicated and important impeachment investigation.
The British royal family is no stranger to media attention, not least the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, who returned last week from their tour of Africa, a well-received trip, meticulously documented by the global media. Now, however, the royal couple are preparing to enter a legal battle with the British tabloids. Harry and Meghan have accused the Mail on Sunday of unlawfully publishing a letter from her to her father and deliberately editing it to change its meaning. The papers responded, denying the charge, now adding a quote from Meghan's father saying he was the one who only wanted parts of the letter released because other parts were so painful. Elsewhere, the Duke's badly advised decision to sue the owners of the Mirror and the Sun over phone hacking was taken up by the Telegraph as part of a discussion around Harry's war against the tabloid media.
He's calling time, he's blowing the whistle, and he's saying, if you intrude on our lives, we're coming for you.
And it's personal, and he's showing no signs of pulling back on this one. I lost my mother, he explained in last week's statement calling out the UK tabloids, and now I watched my wife falling victim to the same powerful forces. Back in 2017, he told a documentary team that he blamed the paparazzi for his mother's death. Those people that caused the accident, instead of helping, they were taking photographs in the back seat, and then those photographs made their way back to news desks. He also lamented the media intrusion he suffered growing up in the shadows of his mother's superstardom. He sees parallels with that and the negative coverage Meghan has received in recent months. And he saw that coming too. Before he met Meghan during a tour of the Caribbean in 2012, he questioned whether he would ever find someone willing to take on a long-term relationship with him because of his public role. And whilst the world watched on as Harry retraced the footsteps of his mother in Angola recently, the emotional statement released shortly after by the Duke revealed his deepest fear of history repeating itself, warning against his wife being commoditised to the point that she's no longer treated or seen as a real person.
I think Harry and Meghan are going to do something new. I think they're going to teach us, they're going to train us in the fact that they have a public life that they will pursue until the end, and then they have a private life.
That's what's driving this legal challenge against the UK tabloids, and he's unlikely to back down until he's seen justice served for his wife, but also for his mother. Max Foster, CNN, London.